no seats for Danny either?
Yeah, there's some right there.
We forgot how many seniors there were.
So this is usually the room as we start, right? Friends, families, parents, students, faculty, member of the Board of Trustees, and members of the graduating class of 2017. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the 20th commencement of Vermont Common School. It is our tradition to start the ceremonies with a moment of silence and then be seated. Thank you. I would now like to introduce our head of school, Dexter Mahaffey.
Thank you, Fassel. Welcome, one and all. So, Danny, yes, you do get to graduate. There was a bit of joke about would we let them all come through, and there is a chair for Danny as well. So wonderful. It's always something. Welcome. Thank you for your patience on this day. With the weather being so tumultuous, we had to make a sudden shift inside. And so thank you for your patience with facilities. It was a very quick setup that the entire student body and faculty performed miraculously in about 45 minutes. So wonderful things that they've done. At the end of J.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings, the story's main protagonist, Frodo Baggins, having accomplished his quest and at last making his way to peace at the Grey Havens and beyond, sings an old walking song. Still round the corner there may wait a new road or secret gate. And though I oft have passed them by, a day will come when at last I shall take the hidden paths that run west of the moon, east of the sun. Just before leaving on this his final journey, Frodo hands the red book to Samwise Gamgee, his gardener, quest fellow, and dear friend. The Red Book is the tale of the battle against the great evil power in the world. It was begun by Frodo's uncle and added to extensively by Frodo himself, both on behalf of his uncle, who was taken to writing nothing but poetry anymore, and himself. But as Frodo gives it to Sam, he tells him the current chapter needs finishing, and that pages remain to which Sam should add his own future story. For Frodo, the story, which is to say the story of his life, is one shared by all, both in the living and telling of it. The trick, Tolkien seems to say, and these are instructions for us all, is as follows. Seniors, take note. First, write your own book. Second, as you do, recognize the importance of leaving pages open, ready for unanticipated and unplanned for experience, be it opportunity or challenge. And third, and perhaps most importantly, recognize that others will write it with you, and that this is a good and necessary thing. Let's compare this narrative line with that of Shakespeare's Hamlet. Prince Hamlet, at the end of his mortal days, reaches out for his friend Horatio and pleads with him repeatedly, "Report me and my cause aright," and then again, "Tell my story," and once again, moments later, "So tell with the occurrence more or less which have solicited." As scholars have oft noted, Hamlet, that great man of inaction, feels it so urgent that his dying breath is spent exhorting others to write him into the history books. It is striking that while both heroes, Hamlet and Frodo, are caught up in notions of narrative and textuality, Hamlet is simultaneously desirous that others write his book for him, but this only at the last, after having lived a life of pushing all others, his love Ophelia, his mother Gertrude, his schoolmates Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, and everyone else of importance in his life away and going it solo instead. Hamlet is a tragedy perhaps most poignantly because of its utter hopeless solitude. Hamlet enacts the risk of going completely solo in the selfish sense, the risk, as Shakespeare couches it, of putting oneself, one's people, one's nation first, which is that it means one's self, one's people, one's nation only. In the essay, The Death of the Author, French literary theorist Roland Barthes more forcefully makes this exact argument. No text is actually ever created by a single author. Rather, any piece of writing is a result of the collective influences of the society all at once, with the author an essentially unwitting conduit. Frodo's shorthand for this is his knowledge that we are all in this together. There is no us versus them, you versus we. Every single one of us is what makes up the commons, and whatever you have to give to offer those around you is precisely what is needed for community to exist, thrive, and endure. Each of you has an essential role. Each of you has an essential role to play, regardless of its grandeur or humility. What matters is your commitment to doing good for yourself and others, and doing that good well. There is no going it alone. For your efforts in a vacuum, in isolation, lose their relevance, their impact, their heart. We turn 20 years old together today. 20 years of this ideal that is our school. As founder Bob Skiff called it many years ago, this movement. If I may, I would like to ask our founders, Dr. Skiff, Rob Skiff, his son, and Leah Mittal, and longtime supporters of the longtime supporters of the school, the Starbuck family, to stand and receive our thanks and praise. Everyone sitting around you is indebted to you for rising to the need of the times and creating and sustaining Vermont Common School. There is no going it alone, and without you, we would not be. Thank you. 20 years of graduates means that we at last have an extensive network of Vermont Commons alums spread across the country and world, and throughout professional fields and personal adventures that lead the way for you, current students, to a broader world and lives lived for good and lived well. Class of 2017 in particular, we urge you both to take advantage of the support this network of alums has to offer in your future endeavors and to, as you settle into your adult lives, become part of that support network, raising up the class of 2023 sitting right in front of you and beyond, so that when they too first strike out on their own, they are not, in fact, alone at all. We, like you, will continue to grow and change. For example, I am thrilled to announce that we were informed yesterday afternoon by the E.E. Ford Foundation that we are recipients of a $50,000 matching grant to fund the enrollment of refugee students at Vermont Common School. We will remain committed to leveraging our scholarship and community towards faithful stewardship of our global responsibilities. 20 years from now, we will still be your school, your watering hole, your refuge. your Vermont Common School, but imagine what we can do if we keep putting our heads together, trying to do it better, do it the right way for the next 20 years. The wily glint in Frodo's eye when he hands Sam a book with empty pages is that Frodo is always eager for that next great adventure rising in the distance, even if he can't necessarily always join in it. The unlimited future of the whole, the community, the commons is his interest, and everyone, even Sam the gardener, perhaps especially the gardener, has an important role to play. And so, class of 2017, our 20th graduating class, let this be your invocation today, that walking song to set you on your journey in dear hope that you'll return someday and write your stories on the remaining blank pages of our collective book. Just round the corner there awaits a new road or secret gate, and though you oft have passed them by, the day has come at last when you now take those hidden paths that run west of the moon, east of the sun. Thank you. All right, thanks for listening to that. Now let's get down to the business. We have a lot of students we want to recognize. Very happy with all of the excitement today. Some of it a little bit of a surprise, starting with this one. At commencement, we take the time to honor the hard work completed and the success achieved by our 8th graders in completing middle school. Much in the way that we present walking sticks to our graduates to send them on their journey, we welcome our 8th graders to high school by presenting them with compasses as symbol of the knowledge now to come that will help them find their way. The graduating class of 2017 will now present our 8th graders with their compasses. Please find your way to each other in the middle aisle when we call your names. And if someone Jasmine, could you help with the compasses in the basket, please? Will Eugene present a compass to Molly Allen and Rachel Bergstein? Will Zeb present a compass to Jack Biggins and Sophie Dodd? Sophie Dodd. Will Alex present a compass to Ezra Doty and Maya Akazawa? Will Camley present a compass to John Gange and Charlie Harder? Will Zelda present a compass to Catherine Kroll and Will Kusero-Lair? Will Henry present a compass to Sophie Lee and Katie McCauley? Will Anna present a compass to Luke Melamede? Will Sean present a compass to Austin Mittal-Skiff? Will Kaylee present a compass to Lila Nider? Will Jill present a compass to Benjamin Poulin? Will Nemaya present a compass to Clara Retzloff? Will Katya present a compass to Artur Skrutar? Will Ryan present a compass to Andrew Stern? Will Amira present a compass to Drew Strobeck? Will Danny present a compass to Riley Tyler? And will Jake present a compass to Tegan Yardley? All eighth graders, if you would rise and receive our applause on your job well done of finishing middle school.
At commencement, we award bronze, silver, and golden turtles according to years of attendance. A golden turtle for students who have spent 6 years at VCS, a silver turtle for 4 years with us, and a bronze turtle for 3 or fewer years. The sixth graders will now present seniors with their turtles. Please come up when I call your name. Will Emmett please present the bronze turtle to Eugene Cleary? Just give it to him. Will Noah present the bronze turtle to Zeb Dart? Will Ian present the gold turtle to Alex Dukoch? Will Kira present the silver turtle to Camley Fowler? Will Emmett present the silver turtle to Zelda Ferris? Will Sophie present the gold turtle to Henry Harder? Will Charlie present the gold turtle to Anna Hulse? Will Anouk present the gold turtle to Sean Kerr? Will Kayla present the silver turtle to Kaylee Cronick? Will Anjay present the gold turtle to Jill Lamberson? Will Tunch present the bronze turtle to Nemaya Lamal? Will Phoebe present the bronze turtle to Katya Marsh? Will Kayla present the gold turtle to Ryan Sr.? Will Cecily present the gold turtle to Amira Silverman? Will Charlotte present the silver turtle to Danny Watson? Will Noah present the bronze turtle to Jake Wisegold?
Each year, the Founders Alumni Award is awarded to an alum who has embodied the mission of Vermont Common School in his or her life's work. This year, the dedication of the Founders Award is read by Mary Hamilton and given by founder and former head of school of Vermont Common School, Dr. Robert Skiff. Mary.
Mary?
I go through, yep. Pull up my robe here so I don't fall on my, hey, Mary.
This year, on our 20th birthday, we bestow this award to the first student ever accepted to Vermont Common School, Mary Cotton. I personally have come to know Mary over the past few years as one of our most avid and involved alumni, attending our Alumni First Friday event every single year except the one where her wife had had their baby, which seemed reasonable to miss. Leah remembers interviewing Mary in Bob Skiff's kitchen, as there was no building yet for Vermont Common School. And Mary, a passionate cook, even at 15, jumped up in the middle of the interview to wax eloquent about Bob and Marley's stove. Peter Goff, founding faculty member, remembers Mary as that student who always quietly went about getting stuff done. He said that if they had a Starbuck Award at that point in time, she would have received it. She didn't play on a sports team, but she attended every game. She didn't act in the play, but she attended every performance. She attended every dance, every event to support her classmates. When a class would be given 5 tasks that needed to be done, Mary would take the one that no one else wanted to do and get it done. No need or desire for credit. Mary embodied community. And when you think about it, community is the foundation on which the rest of our mission is laid. When we each have each other's backs, when we support each other with respect and compassion, then we are at our best, and only then are we able to do our best. Please join the faculty, the founders, and the administration in congratulating Mary Cotton, class of 2000, Keeper of Community, on receiving the 2017 Founders Award.
Thing up here.
Each year, the George and Pamela Starbuck Award is awarded to a student who has made outstanding contributions to Vermont Common School during the 2016-17 school year. This year, the dedication of the Starbuck Award is read by Dean of Students Chance Cardwell-Newstub, and we also are thrilled to have members of the Starbuck family here and wonder if you will come up and present the award with Chance to the recipient. Will you join us up front here? Pamela, if you don't mind. Thank you. Chance.
Where would be best for them?
If you'll, right where Bob was, if you're right up front.
Do we have Okay. Thank you so much.
Wouldn't be here without you.
So good to see you guys. Since the Vermont Common School opened in 1997, we have seen students whose energy, leadership, and kindness set them apart. Each year, we recognize one of them with the George and Pamela Starbuck Award for outstanding contribution to the community. And it's just so special to have Pamela standing right here with us right now. From the first days of renting us an office and a couple of classrooms to eventually selling us the building and supporting its complete renovation, George and Pamela Starbuck have shown unparalleled commitment, enthusiasm, and spirit of generosity to Vermont Common School, epitomizing in every way the award which bears their name. This year, we recognize a student who has, in word and action, followed in the Starbucks footsteps. Wherever, whenever there is a VCS event, this student can be found, not just attending, but actively improving the event. It's hard to bring to mind any recent initiative or project to enrich the school or to benefit the broader community that this student didn't help plan and implement. Faculty and students alike want this student on their team, in their class, on their encounter week, because when he's involved, activities are more fun, programming is improved, social dynamics are more inclusive. It is our great fortune that there are multiple students that I could be describing at the moment However, this particular individual has stood out to us above all for his kindness, his generosity of spirit. Of course, I could go on about all he does for the community, takes the photos, makes the videos, leads the Senate, organizes the social events, does all the dirty work of event setup and cleanup and so on. But that's not what makes this guy special. This guy, as far as we know, is incapable of being mean. He's incapable of being cynical. This guy cannot help but see and believe in the best in everyone he meets. And in so doing, he helps us believe in it for ourselves. There's nobody that he can't work with, and there's nobody who doesn't want to work with him. He is selfless to a fault, and he is so dedicated to improving our community that it's easy to forget that he does not, in fact, dwell on some higher plane, and that he actually has homework to do just like the rest of us. Graham, we can think of no better manifestation of the Starbucks spirit than the altruism that you have demonstrated in service to all of us. We don't know how you do it, but we're grateful that you do. You make this place better you make this a better place every single day. It brings me great joy to present this year's Starbucks Award to Graham Byers. Thank you to the Starbucks family as well for their presence. And we'll do that.
At this time, we confer departmental awards in recognition of exceptional performance by any student from across the grades in each of our academic disciplines. Ben Patrick will now present the award on behalf of the Fine Arts Department.
All right. She has a practiced, precise way of drawing the heart on sketchbook papers, large sheets of drawing paper, and canvas. These hearts are copied from Gray's Anatomy and not the practiced cliches that are watched in high definition on the ABC network. These drawing illustrations are precise medical annotations before science was distracted by computer simulations. These are the ones that doctors used for decades in history so they could know what they were looking at before they opened the chest cavity. In this way, when a doctor opened your chest, he or she would not be surprised while looking at the vast field of electrical connections, chambers, and nerve endings. With the studies of these drawings, after a surgery, your blood would be more likely to flow in the right direction. This is why drawing is so important. And it is the reasons why the Studio Arts Department implores students to draw every day. If you do not know the details of what is before you are there, then how would you know how to work on it? Can you tell me that you are ready to be a surgeon without the study of the necessary diagrams? Can you draw the heart, God's perfect asymmetry, valves, vessels, blood flowing through the aortic valve so you are aware, oxygen-rich, ready to meet the day? There is one student in this room that knows how to be such a surgeon. She draws in her sketchbook, and not just hearts. From the studies that she has practiced in her sketchbook, Clara Retzloff would understand how to reassemble the rib cage, or say, understand the strength of the sacrum in the pelvis that has fallen on the ice on a cold Vermont morning. I am so glad that she is here, prepped, ready for the scalpel, razor sharp, always certain of where to cut into next to find out what is underneath. It is great honor that this year's Art Award is bestowed upon Clara Retzloff. Clara?
That was written with a 3-week-old infant. Ben Patrick always continues to impress. Mark Keegan will now present the award on behalf of the Science Department.
Webster's definition of the word science indicates that it is a noun. The VCS Science Department respectfully disagrees. In our unanimous opinion, science is a verb. And when he was stranded on Mars, Matt Damon famously used the word science in a context that shows that he agrees with us. So we will not tolerate any arguments on this point. And since you all agree with us that science is a verb, we don't need to tell you that this means it is not something that one simply learns about, but rather it is something one does. And like Matt Damon in that movie, this year's winner of the Science Department Award amazed us with the breadth of science principles he skillfully applied in a hands-on way. Since his arrival at VCS, he has impressed with the demonstration of excellence in all of the science disciplines, but with chemical reactions, 18-volt rechargeable batteries ripped out of their original equipment and repurposed, convoluted approaches to starting fires, Beckett Richardson's Rube Goldberg machine was as exciting to watch as a blockbuster science fiction movie. And just like in the movie, nobody died. Whether or not the machine actually worked on demonstration day, in our eyes, was a success the moment during assembly and testing in the lab that it caused 3 of his classmates to run up the stairs to my office screaming, "Oh my God, Mark, you have to come see Beckett's machine. It's so cool." As if they had just seen Matt Damon walking around the building or something. Getting and keeping people excited about science is one of the essential jobs of the VCS Science Department, and we have great appreciation for any student work that helps to make that job easier. Thank you, Beckett, and congratulations on a great year of science.
Jennifer Cohen will now present the award on behalf of the English Department.
The faculty presents the award for Distinguished Achievement in English to a student who has demonstrated a passion for and dedication to literature and writing. This year's recipient devoured the 10th grade honors English curriculum. She wrote beautifully about the nuances of Hester and Dimmesdale and the Scarlet Letter. She used scriptural references to relate Packingtown to Satan in her essay about the jungle. She imitated Dickens as she analyzed him, and she explained how Huck Finn embodied Twain's message to stay true to oneself. One of the most remarkable aspects of Xavie's writing is that she heeds Twain's advice and always writes with an original, authentic voice. I smile as I read her essays, amazed at the clever ways she pulls together her insights. This year, Xavie's talents also took her on stage as she played Polonius in Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, and behind the camera as she created her documentary that won first place in the History and Contemporary Issues Division of the Freedom and Unity Youth Film Contest. Additionally, she was accepted into the New England Young Writers Conference at Middlebury, and she will attend the University of Iowa Writers Workshop this summer. It was a busy year, and this is just the beginning of Xavie making her mark on the world through her many gifts. I will never again teach the Romantics without remembering her presentation of Robert Burns. As it happens, our award winner is actually descended from Old Rabbi, and during her presentation, she channeled him as she recited her own Scottish poem, complete with rhyming Scottish words in a perfect Scottish accent. So thank you, Xavie. I feel very chancy to have had you in my class. Uncle Rabbi would be so proud. Give her a haggis.
Jessica Redmond will now present the award on behalf of the Mathematics Department.
Mathematics at Vermont Common School is built on the foundations of arithmetic, geometry, number theory, data analysis, and problem solving. The emphasis is not simply on conquering difficult arithmetic computations, but on discovering patterns in our environment and describing them in a new language. To achieve mathematical fluency, students must be willing to struggle with a problem, use their intuition, persevere through many attempts, and effectively communicate their ideas to others. The Distinguished Achievement Award in Mathematics is given to the student who most consistently exemplifies these principles. I'm not sure if a middle school student has ever won the math award, but if so, it was before my time. But this is not what makes this student stand out. What does make this student rise above the rest is how he went above and beyond. Yes, he routinely helped his classmates, but many times it honestly felt like he was co-teaching the class with me. Yes, he completed challenge problems I assigned and persuaded other kids to do them with him. However, he is the only one who asked for, attempted, and completed every high school challenge problem. He even looked up fractional exponents so that he could figure out how to do a pre-calculus problem, and then taught his classmates how to do it. He's not motivated to do this for accolades or grades. In fact, I don't even know if math is his favorite subject. But his curiosity and excitement is sweet, genuine, and completely contagious. By simply being who he is, he makes others want to learn math with him. It is with great joy that I present this year's Math Award to Finn Verdonk.
Mark Klein-Lucy will now present the award on behalf of the Social Studies Department.
Each year, the Social Studies Department gathers to select the recipient of our Distinguished Achievement Award. The question we ask ourselves is, who amongst the students has most embodied and exemplified a true love of the social studies? This does not necessarily mean who has the highest grade, but rather who has a genuine, irrepressible intellectual curiosity about history, current events, politics, economics, ethics, who loves to question, who loves to think, who loves to learn. This year, the Social Studies Award goes to a student who strives to deeply understand social issues and concepts. Always ready for a good hallway debate about current news, global issues, or some moment in history. This student feeds off the intellectual complexity as well as the moral weight of it all. He loves the most challenging questions, which is why he chose to research 19th century Ethiopian resistance to European colonialism for his contract honors work. He did exactly what true social scientists do. He observed a perplexing question. He read a lot. He synthesized disparate information into a theory, and he set about proving his thesis with persuasive evidence. That pretty much describes how the student approaches every debate, discussion, assignment, and hallway moment. The student is also rapidly rising to the rank of the most experienced Model United Nations scholar in our school's history. After attending a summer institute last summer, he was the driving force in organizing our annual Vermont Common School Model UN Conference, an historical simulation of the 19th century opium wars. With 2 years left at our school, this student will continue to inspire those around him to inquire, to care, and to get involved in our world. It is my deep honor and pleasure to give the 2017 Award for Distinguished Achievement in Social Studies to Mr. Caleb Morehouse.
Adriana Camtoa will now present the Spanish Award on behalf of the World Languages Department.
The award for the Distinguished Achievement in World Languages Spanish recognizes the student who has demonstrated academic excellence throughout the year in the study of Spanish. Furthermore, it honors the individual who goes beyond the requirements and consistently demonstrates genuine interest in the language. Without a doubt, this student is an academic all-star. For rocking pop-up vocabulary quizzes to delivering well-prepared presentations, he sets a high bar in the Spanish classroom. In his essays, he can confidently compare the Roman Empire with current events in Venezuela, writing as profusely as he does in his native tongue. In class discussions, he confidently answers questions from his teacher and peers at the drop of a hat in topics varying from marine biology to adventure sports. He might also recount in detail rich anecdotes about his past trips with fluency and skillfulness. Moreover, this student seeks to improve his proficiency outside of the classroom. It is common to hear him addressing his classmates or teachers in Spanish when possible. And if he has a chance, he might choose to speak in Spanish for hours at a time during the school day, just for the pleasure of doing it. Hearing him speak with the appropriate cadence following the natural rhythm of the language has been delectable. However, all his academic strength pales in comparison of his appreciation of Hispanic culture and people. During our last trip to Peru, he stepped fully into the role of Vermont Commons ambassador by giving spontaneous speeches, joining in during impromptu dancing performances, and more importantly, chatting, laughing, singing. In other words, connecting with the students from all ages at Colegio Santa Ana. It is a true honor to present the 2017 Award for Distinguished Achievement in Spanish to our own Jalen Gibbs. Felicitaciones.
Ben Wang will now present the Chinese Award on behalf of the World Languages Department. Apparently I'm mistaken. Hua Zhang will be presenting the Chinese Award on behalf of the World Languages Department.
The recipient of this award is someone who has not only been motivated to master all 4 language skills, but also consistently gone beyond the academic learning and expanded the cultural encounters outside the classrooms and across borders. Language for her was not an end in itself, but a means to venture into East Asian culture with an ever-expanding interest. Besides Chinese language and history, she also delved into the contemporary cultures of Japan and South Korea and is attending an immersion program in Japan this summer. As a contract honors student, she not only went above and beyond in class, but also taught herself a new lesson every week using an online textbook, including handwriting the vocabulary. Every so often, we also chatted the fun stuff. My favorite is our high-spirited discussion on teen idols and romance after she binge-watched a 30-episode Chinese TV series. She enthusiastically returned to China as a student leader this year, helping with advanced planning, booking hostels, designing the questionnaire, and facilitating the language partner program with the Chengdu Pioneer School. On the ground in China, she assumed much of the responsibility for helping students navigate Chinese language and culture. She also took the opportunity to explore the possible topics and institutions for her senior project, including an in-depth conversation with the head of Aurora School in Beijing. It's been great joy to witness this bubbly girl carve out a unique path of her own as she followed her heart and embraced all aspects of the world language learning. We believe that she is only just starting, and we look forward to hearing about her new adventures. The faculty is proud to present the 2017 Distinguished Achievement Award in World Languages Chinese to Eliza Jackson.
Christie Howell will now present the award on behalf of the Research and Service Program.
When I think back on our climate change and journalism class this semester, many images come to mind. Youth rallying on the lawn of the Capitol building, demanding that our legislators hear their concerns about global warming. Sitting in the office of 7 Days newspaper and listening to my students ask terrific questions about journalism. Watching a video shown to us by the biologists at Vermont Fish and Wildlife demonstrating how they safely catch moose to study the impact of climate change on their populations. Amidst all of these images, however, one stands out, and that is seeing Zoe Hecht march up to talk to environmental activist Bill McKibben. We were at the Youth Rally for the Planet, and he was surrounded by people who wanted his attention. But Zoe patiently waited until she could get some time with him. Once he was free, McKibben, who was a tall man, bent down to Zoe so that he could better hear her, and I saw his eyes light up. In just moments, she had impressed an internationally known writer and activist with her poise, passion, and ideas, and he had asked her to email him so that they could carry on their conversation further. This scene captures the essence of Zoe, a young woman who wants to change the world and has the determination to do it. Her work for social justice expands well beyond research and service, from her donation of books and creation of the Glowing Turtles Library, to volunteering at the Persist 5K, to her extensive advocacy for the health of honeybees. Zoe, you model what it means to be an engaged citizen, and your strong moral compass is an inspiration to students and faculty alike. With this award, we honor your dedication to serving the earth and all of its inhabitants. Congratulations.
And lastly, Ben Wang will now present the award on behalf of the Encounter Week program.
The Encounter Week Award for 2017 goes to Jake Weisgold. Jake would have earned this award based on his performance on this year's Encounter Weeks alone. In the fall, he worked with his student co-lead to take on unprecedented responsibility in leading the very challenging White Mountains Backpacking Encounter Week. And in doing so, demonstrated the full range of his capabilities. He got the group going each morning, was the go-to medical officer, and emotionally supported everyone on the trip, including his student and adult co-leads. He was the solo student leader on the volleyball clinics Encounter Week in the winter, and the teachers on that week said, "We were just along for the ride." On that trip, Jay continued to explore ways to encourage student agency while providing necessary training and support for members of the group. Jake took student agency to new levels himself by becoming, along with Anna Hulse, one of the two first students to join faculty and administration on the Encounter Week committee. In addition to adding valuable insight to our weekly discussions, Jake worked with Anna to design and push through a new Encounter Week student leadership program that will be implemented in the fall. This is an apprentice-based system that tracks the students' leadership training across Encounter Weeks that promises to both expand leadership opportunities and provide advanced training for students who are ready. Jake also took on the title of Gear Czar. Throughout his reign, the clutter was reduced to a fraction of its former heft, and infrastructure and systems were put in place that will last into the future. My first year on the job as Encounter Week's director was made much easier with Jake's invaluable help. I will miss having a solid partner. However, through his tremendous efforts, competence, and inspiration, Jake has dramatically increased the possibilities for student leadership and agency on Encounter Weeks, and indeed for the entire Vermont Commons experience, and this will endure far into the future. Jake.
So I just want to think back about the last 3 weeks. May 15th, faculty had to finish their term. They had to finish finish teaching the quarter. They had to finish grading the quarter. They had to plan and then implement Encounter Weeks, bringing all the students home. That part is important. Bringing them home safely, including around the world circumnavigation by one of our trips over 11 days. Pretty impressive. Then they had to come back, give exams, grade exams, write every testimonial that you've heard so far and about to hear, and about 6 other things, including setting up the school for the end of the year. That there's no time to sleep. Their families haven't seen them in a month, and yet they persist. It's incredible, and it was spoken to. The most poignant assessment of our faculty was actually by our students, because recently we have a couple of positions that we need to fill. You may know that Mark Klein-Lucy is going on sabbatical in the fall, and we'll be coming back after that. So we've been in a lot of conversations with potential employees, and we always have students interview them. And those are the most important things. The most important assessments that we get are the student committee feedback. And what we hear again and again is, well, that person was fine, they were nice, they were funny, but they just stood up there and talked at me. And what I expect is that my teacher is going to engage me, explain why we're doing what we're doing, bring it to me in a creative way, get my hands involved, get me into the field, do that. And there was this long list. So on top of all the stuff that they've been doing for the last 3 weeks, which they've really also been doing for the entire year, the expectations of being a teacher here are so high that it's well nigh impossible to find anybody who's actually qualified to do it or who has the endurance to continue to do it. It is a wildly impressive crowd of people that I have the privilege to work with each day. That being said, on occasion, people have to move on. Their lives take them elsewhere, and that is a difficult thing for us. It is very sad, but it is important as a community that we honor it, and so we do that now. At this time, we honor 2 faculty members whose service to Vermont Common School culminates this year. The word service is key. This is going to be a little redundant. The word service is key here because the demands of teaching at Vermont Common School are unlike and greatly in excess of anywhere else. And I've worked at about 8 different schools. I mean it when I say that. Nobody else does what these people do. Innovation and instruction, student engagement and collaboration, sleeping in the yurt in January. These are just some of the starting places for being a teacher here. And so when one of our faculty moves on to a new life, it is of great moment for the institution. We shall not be the same without them, and it will take time to find ourselves whole again. Hua Zhang came to us 3 years ago as a Chinese instructor. From puppet shows to exquisite attention to detail and instruction, from mentoring advanced students in independent study to welcoming our sister school students from China, we will forever be struck by her intense dedication to the success of every single one of her students. Her insights will be sorely missed, as will her enthusiastic willingness to try any new adventure. Embracing the new and making it excellent has been Hua's way. In a very short time, she has become a dear friend to many of us, and while we wish her the very, very best in her family's move, we will miss her always. Hua, please accept this small token as a symbol of our great thanks to you, and I'm going to step off and grab it. One of 2 least fun parts of my day are these farewells. The first day I visited Vermont Common School, I remember walking by a classroom full of students, many of whom worked on mathematical equations using dry erase markers and the glass of the windows separating us in the hall. And if you know the room I'm talking about, there's a series of windows. This is my first 7 minutes in Vermont Common School. This has stood in my mind since that time as the perfect exemplar of creative innovations in Vermont Commons teaching. Jessica Redmond, who joined the faculty 11 years ago, has innumerable such tricks up her sleeve. An innovator in curriculum as well, Jessica is responsible for every word you read regarding math at Vermont Commons in our curriculum. She led her department over the years to replace stock textbook assumptions about students' learning. If you know the old joke about textbooks, what are they most useful for? Doorstops. You may have not heard that one before. That's a common teacher joke. To replace stock textbook assumptions about students' learning in math with responsiveness to individual needs and engagement with the meaning behind the mechanical. That Vermont Commons students graduate not only with a limited understanding of how, with an unlimited, That Vermont Commons students graduate not with a limited understanding of how to solve a problem, but instead with what its solution actually means, can be traced directly to Jessica's years of determined leadership. And she is a dear friend. Jessica is genuine, she is honest, she is loyal, and she is intensely caring of others, her students, her colleagues, her family. Jess, you leave behind a hole that cannot possibly be filled. On behalf of your students, colleagues, and friends, please accept this small token of our thanks. Thank you, faculty. Each year at Vermont Common School, every class at Vermont Common School has a faculty advisor who travels through the years as their so-called core group advisor. So I got to back up for a second. I asked Goff, because this is the 20th anniversary of the school, I said, hey, Peter, you've been here for 20 years, founding faculty member, doesn't it seem like you should give a speech? And his response was, make Keegan do it. And then came the idea that we would have that core group advisor who travels with the class give the actual commencement address to the class. Dr. Keegan has served in this capacity for the class of 2017, and so we welcome him to the podium to address the candidates for graduation. Dr. Keegan.
To the class of 2017, if there are words of wisdom that you absolutely need to hear today, I'm not at all sure that I'm the one who has to give you. I tried looking to the reason why it's me here speaking to you right now for inspiration, hoping that it might provide me with deeper insight, some valuable lesson to give to you to carry on with you into adult life. But there's not really much there to look to. The truth is that my getting the honor of addressing you today is not necessarily because anybody thinks I'm well suited to dispensing wisdom, no matter how often the things I've said show up in Amira's quote book. If anything, maybe how often I'm in the quote book should give everyone pause that I'm the one standing here right now. The truth here is that it's simply that it was me that fate brought you as an advisor back a few years ago when you guys were that class. In day 2 of my tenure as advisor for that class, when you guys felt the need as 10th graders to stand in front of the whole school and indignantly, but also half-heartedly, and this is important, tell everyone that the adults in the building had, and I quote, lost your trust, at least there was no place to go but up. I'm going to brag a little bit here, and I'm going to say that in that moment, which we laugh and cringe about together now, I was actually able to see the beginnings of what you were to become. confident enough to speak your mind when you're indignant about something. What was that thing anyway? I mean, cell phones probably. It's always cell phones, right? Like it had to have been cell phones. You are also capable then of looking at yourselves honestly enough to know that that indignation that day may not have been the righteous kind that's truly worthy of full-throated, sustained expression, and then hence the half-hearted approach to it in the moment. It also showed that at least you cared enough to voice a complaint. Caring counts for a lot. Many days, it counts for everything. And you continued to care all the way through to today. And because of that, you couldn't help but engage, growing, leading, and today, leaving behind a remarkable legacy of achievement as students that we're all going to hear about in a few minutes as you receive your diplomas. You're still that class, for sure, but the tone in our voices when we say those two words is different now than it was back then. It's what pride sounds like. I hope you're able to hear that. So I'm standing here, convinced that you're ready for what comes next. At least as ready as anybody ever really is, and nobody ever really is ready, and that's what makes what comes next so exciting. As individuals these last few years, you've become self-aware in ways that I'm sure feel both comfortable to you at times and also at times felt probably very uncomfortable for you. That self-awareness is some of the strongest armor around, and it's going to serve you well in the adventures that come in the post-VCS life that begins shockingly soon. And I say that shockingly soon with your parents in mind, who probably are really amazed at how quickly this day has come, and that you're wearing these gowns, these caps, and sitting here ready to receive these diplomas. There's only a few more lines left in today's program before that word benediction, and that's just a fancy English department vocabulary that means, all right, go on now, Gav here, enjoy and enjoy the rest of your life. But regardless of the fact that I already see you as ready as anyone can be for what comes next, and no longer even needing any advice I might have to offer, everyone has told me, and especially Dexter and Peter, that it's my job to try to impart some wisdom upon you. So, having softened you up with some compliments, I hope you'll indulge me for just a few minutes more. After all our time together, I have one last idea for you to consider. You might or might not know that I have one of the great all-time graduation speeches posted in the wall of my office. It's called This Is Water, and it was delivered at Kenyon College by David Foster Wallace. With just a quick glance of it printed out and tacked on my wall, it's just a whole lot of words, and I'm not sure many people pay much attention to it. I read it once, maybe twice a year, and if you don't feel like you get your money's worth from my speech today, I encourage you to stop by my office and give that one a read. I will leave the door open for you. In that speech, Wallace demonstrates that it's possible to get away with using what he calls a didactic little parable-ish story to get across a larger truth. So I'm going to follow in his large, deep footsteps and use that same literary contrivance. Here goes. Two friends are walking in the woods. This is totally a VCS appropriate story. They come to a clearing at the bottom of a large hill, and they decide that they're going to stop there in the shade for a few minutes before they climb that hill. And so they sit down, pull some snacks out of their bags, and just sort of take in the scenery. A minute or two later, they hear this enormous roar from the top of the hill, and they look up, and they see this enormous bear up on its hind legs, roaring and staring right at them. It finishes roaring, and when it does next, it gets down on all four legs and starts bombing down the hill at these two hikers. And they're not stupid. They know it's time to leave. But one of them doesn't get up. Instead, he reaches into his backpack, and he pulls out a pair of running shoes. His friend is appalled, shocked, yells at him, "Are you kidding me? Those shoes aren't going to help you outrun that bear." And so he looks up at his friend and says, "I don't actually have to outrun the bear. I just have to outrun you." Many of you maybe have heard this little joke before. It's an old one. I certainly didn't come up with it myself. Last time I heard it, it was used in a movie called The Imitation Game. It was a couple of years back. In a scene where a socially awkward character who was pretty good at math wanted to make people laugh, which is not altogether different from what's happening right now. Why that story's funny, and really why anything is funny, is because it grazes up against some big life truth in a way that you're not really expecting. Wallace would call this kind of a truth a capital T truth. So let's turn this story into a great life metaphor. In this great life metaphor, the bear is known by a wide assortment of different names. Ignorance, fear, apathy, despair. You may know a few others. It's possible the bear has chased you before. Eventually, it will chase all of us at some point in our lives. And with there being 7.5 billion people around, in this metaphor, it's pretty much impossible for us to ever actually find ourselves alone at the edge of the clearing anymore. Therefore, each of us is presented with a strategic decision to make. Do we strive to make our lives about outrunning that bear, or do we focus instead on outrunning each other? I wish I could tell you that the decision is easy and that everyone makes the same choice. But after all our time together, you've finally gotten good at seeing through it when I'm trying to trick you into believing something that's not true. Well, some of you are better at this than others, and you know who you are. And I'm not going to attempt that today, especially given your recent experience with the college admissions process, which pretty much seems entirely designed to give you the feeling that the only way success can be achieved is by outrunning each other. And if not each other here, then certainly the millions of other graduates in these next few weeks who are sitting through similar kinds of speeches across the country. We seem to be at a point in history where outrunning each other is particularly in vogue. A lot of national, even international discourse lately focuses on the obstacles that people have put or want to put in each other's way as we all run. This choice to do whatever necessary to be faster than the other guy might make a lot of sense to you. And if it does, I can certainly see the logic in it. But this is where the metaphor gets stretched to its breaking point, because the truth in this great life metaphor is that catching someone else is never enough to make the metaphorical bear stop. If anything, it makes the bear run faster. And that makes this clever strategy of the guy with the running shoes inherently flawed if we try to apply it to living a life. I also realize that this whole metaphor might seem ridiculously overwhelming and demoralizing, but the message here boils down to the adult life that awaits you is going to feel like you're constantly being chased by an angry bear. And that would be horrid. It's not my point at all. I mean, look around at the world. Truly look at what amazing things people are capable of. Take in art that inspires you. Go to the observation deck of a skyscraper and watch a great city hum beneath you. Read a piece of nonfiction describing deeds of bravery committed on behalf of complete strangers. Commit that cliched random act of kindness. Love without reservation. It turns out it's a beautiful world, and I submit that fact to you as all the evidence I need to establish the point that when we try, we are absurdly good at outrunning that bear. But it does take a little more effort than outrunning each other. I'll grant you that. But you can do it. My charge to each of you today is simply to remember that the capital T truth point of it all is to stay focused on outrunning the bear. My wish for you is that through the learning that you have done and are still to do, you'll discover the truth that your legs are strong and fast. We have a great tradition here of presenting each of you with walking sticks at this ceremony, but the truth is you can run. And I've not only seen that you can run, but you can even carry others from time to time. You are not always able to do this, but I've seen it now over and over and over. You've done it for each other. Never stop being like this. And lastly, is my hope for you that in your travels, you'll meet many the world over who have also chosen to focus on the bear. They're everywhere, if you know how to look for them. And I hope that through meeting, and then even better, truly knowing those people, you'll never feel alone. I hope you'll find the realization that you're running as one in a vast multitude, even maybe a great horde, to be truly comforting. I hope you'll even find it exhilarating, because if you choose to focus on running from the bear, it will be the work of a lifetime. I hope to see you out there running sometime. You've got this.
Thank you, Dr. Keegan. It is my great pleasure to introduce Nehemiah Lamal, perhaps the unofficial poet laureate of the class of 2017. Nehemiah.
Hello, everyone. When I asked my class if I was allowed to read a poem at graduation, they were kind and they told me to be brief. so I will try. Someone also just told me I should read a very famous graduation poem called The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. And I'm pretty sure we all know most of that poem by now. So this is not that poem. Instead, I thought I would be clever and write a poem in response to, or at least kind of inspired by Frost's most famous and probably most misinterpreted poem. This is called the poem Not Taken. 16 roads diverge for us in this yellow wood. We hope to make a difference. We dutifully pack the good advice. Make good choices, make us proud, make the world a better place. Full on a diet of small failures and healthy cynicism, we ask if we have done right so far. For each of us, roads diverge in some yellow wood. The signs tell us one will make all the difference. All the difference. If we don't look beyond road signs, all there is to see is difference. Since one is choice, so without dissidence, too much time creating the difference between us and them, wrong and right, left and right. Why so comfortable with uncrossable difference? And yet we cannot untie ourselves from wanting to make things different. All the difference now is two roads: difference or indifference. Dare we table the question of if so far we've chosen rightly, if we are up to scratch, if we will do what we hope to do? Dare we step back from the blueprints for personalized career catapults intended to launch us with minimal inaccuracy into success? Dare we worry less with the right path, wrong path, more traveled, less traveled, and choose only the manner in which we walk? We know how to start. Go curious, go persistent, go listening, go compassionate, go now. We go to debate this question of difference. We go to be the difference. We keep the tabled questions at the edges of our gaze towards what do I, why do I, who do I want to be? In 16 different yellow woods, I think we walk a similar gait, because we've learned that we go just to be in the woods. The air, the light, the poor metaphors, the faces of people we haven't met yet, the knowing that comes before and after each hidden corner of unknowing, the crunch of undergrowth that is the sound of 2 feet walking with anything but indifference. Thank you.
Thank you, Namaya. And now we call to the front Henry Harder, selected by his peers in the class of 2017 to offer remarks on behalf of the graduates.
Good afternoon. I want to start off by thanking my class for trusting me to speak here today. It's an honor, and I'm happy to do so. I've spent much of my free time I've had this past week in wake of being done with all our work, thinking about the time I've had at the school and what I want to say in the few minutes I have up here. I've realized that every great piece of my VCS experience can be traced back to the people here. The students, teachers, and administrators who all work together to create this community is what makes this place truly special. I hope that by the time I'm done, I will have expressed the gratitude that my classmates and I have for everyone who has helped us succeed here. The past week has been a strange mix of thoughts and emotions for me, and I expect many of my classmates could tell you the same thing. Some of us have sat where you all sit now and watched this very ceremony for the past 6 years, looking up at the senior class in their robes and caps and thinking about how we too would be standing up here one day. That day has finally arrived, and amid all the excitement, it's challenging to convey how I feel about it. Above all, I'm excited about graduating and for the adventures the future holds. And I'm sure my classmates would agree. But for me, that excitement doesn't stand on its own. Graduating from VCS will be bittersweet in many ways. It will be a happy celebration of our accomplishments, followed by a flurry of congratulations from family and friends, and thoughts about what's next. But for me, the happy and exciting part about graduating comes with a slightly somber counterpart. Graduating means saying goodbye to all the wonderful, kind, and brilliant people I've grown to love here over the past 6 years. It means saying goodbye to our teachers, who often feel more like friends once you've endured a frigid winter encounter week with them, or when they talk with you amongst the awesome chaos that explodes throughout the school during lunch. And how can we possibly begin to thank these teachers who have dealt with us and complained only minimally when we were feeling particularly difficult or angsty? How can we thank them for being there to answer our questions and to guide us through the chaos and uncertainty of our teenage years? It feels impossible to do, but I feel I can safely speak for all of us when I say to our teachers, we truly appreciate everything you have given us. Graduating today also means saying goodbye to the 15 amazing other people up here with me, something I've tried my hardest to avoid processing until I absolutely must, because I know that will be one of the hardest parts about today. Our class has traveled great distances together, both figuratively and literally, from our awkward middle school days to our rebellious bursts and the infamous lost trust episode of 10th grade, to dealing with the ever-changing dynamic that inevitably exists among any group of people. But even when things were challenging and relationships were tested, our class never fractured and split or stopped being kind and supportive. When trying to decide an anecdote to tell about our class here, someone mentioned how whenever there was some decision that needed to be made or thing that needed to be planned, and an email was sent out, every time without fail, the email would devolve to a seemingly endless string of reply alls, frequently reaching message counts of 50 or higher. When scrolling back through my inbox, I found the email chain that formed earlier this year when we needed to decide a class theme for Spirit Week. It started the night before class theme day with an email from Zelda asking if anyone had ideas for a theme that we could assemble so we didn't have a repeat of last year, where we decided on all black at 11:30 at night, too late for half the class to get the memo. The chain started off innocuously enough with some well-intentioned suggestions, but it quickly devolved into banter and complaints about the number of emails being sent. People were asking to be removed from the chain, and all of this wasn't helped by Danny's semi-incendiary comments and continuous replies, sent in an effort to make the email longer and more chaotic. To his credit, his efforts to do so were highly successful. After 66 emails of heated discussion, we decided on an elaborate and creative theme for our last Spirit Week. We would all don giant black garbage bags that I had stolen from my garage. No theme inspired by a decade, color, song, or any other theme that required imagination, but we decided to represent ourselves in our final year at the school as literal trash. Good job, guys. We did good. I don't tell this story to suggest that it has some metaphorical value or tells any deeper truth about us, but simply as an amusing example of our antics. I want to end on a more serious note, addressing my class directly. I would not have made it through high school without you all here by my side, to make me laugh or to share your collective wisdom about life. I know that for some people, high school can be miserable, and they can't wait for it to end. This could not be more untrue for me, and I can tell you now that years down the road, I will look back fondly on my days here. So to my class, the faculty, and all my friends here, thank you for making saying goodbye so hard.
class of 2017. How you doing? You all right? Good, good. Take a breath. Pause. Look around for a sec. Just take it in. Take it in. It's whooshing by too fast. Take a breath. Just a second. Okay, you good? Good, good. Jill's like, get on with it. Let's do it. A couple of thank yous. Thank you so much, Nemaya and Henry. Fantastic. Before we move on to the chief purpose of the afternoon, I would like to take a brief moment to thank a few people. Special thanks go out to the volunteers who make up our Board of Trustees. Thank you, Faisal, for standing here and helping me present the diplomas, and several other board members who either came early or have started trickling in from work to be here. Thank you so much for the group, to that group who works diligently to sustain this school in every way, always behind the scenes, largely unthanked. Thank you. And a heartfelt thanks as well to the countless parent volunteers, often, again, behind the scenes and unthanked, those who support our community programs and activities, often in the background, from sports to Model UN and the play, to providing a truly incredible field day feast yesterday. Over at Oakledge Park. Thank you. Awesome. What a wonderful metaphor for your support throughout the year and everywhere and every other time. Many years, a graduating class and its parents undertake an effort to better the school through a legacy gift. We want to say now thank you, especially to the class, the families, and class of 2017 for your donation of new couches and seating for the Commons Room. We are all in your debt. If you're a student or faculty member here, we are all going, yes, it's truly needed. We will think of you often as we enjoy this wonderful contribution to the school. Faculty, for 20 years, you have been the heart and soul of this institution. Again, a truly heartfelt thanks to you and your countless hours above and beyond in selfless service of educating and mentoring young people. And lastly, I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of the faculty to thank the parents of the class of 2017. And I ask you at this time to stand. For the faith and trust you gave us through this journey, we thank you. While the nature of your role as parent is shifting at this time, I recall the West African Dagbani saying that when a parent becomes obsolete, the culture perishes. On behalf of everyone up here, graduate and faculty alike, I honor you and offer you thanks and praise. All right, let's get down to business.
It is now time for us to confer diplomas to the 20th graduating class of Vermont Commons School. I would like to ask the members of the class of 2017 to come forward as I read the testimonials written by each graduate's advisor. Eugene Cleary. Eugene joined the Vermont Commons School family in his junior year, and we can only wish that we had more time with him. Still, we count ourselves as deeply fortunate to have gotten to know this young man with the easy smile and the irrepressible ability to see the positive and the good. He is every teacher's dream student as his eyes widen with excitement whenever he learns something new or is challenged in his thinking. From the coral reefs of Belize to the icy waters of Burlington's Penguin Plunge, Eugene never passed up an opportunity to dive in. In his first month as a flying turtle, he stepped up to captain the cross-country team and then added volleyball in his senior year. His love of politics and history and his concern for global issues led him to attend 5 different Model United Nations conferences in his 2 short years, including chairing committees for the VCS Model UN and the 6th grade conference earlier this week. His interests range widely as he interned in the fall with the Vermont Tortilla Company to learn business practices and then spent the 5 weeks of his senior project with a crew of car mechanics in order to dive deeper in his love of engines and automobiles. Most importantly, Eugene is a tender-hearted soul who walks through the world with deep compassion and a strong, ethical sense of justice. We know that he will bring his intellectual curiosity, his wide smile, and his big heart with him to the University of Denver next year. Eugene, we will miss you. Zebediah Dart. Zeb came to us from Ferrisburg in the 11th grade. In that relatively short time, he has firmly established himself as one of the gentlest souls to ever pass through VCS in our 20-year history. Humble to a fault and without a harsh word for anyone or anything, ever. Zeb has spent the last 2 years as the calm in whatever storm of people you might find around the building. A talented and prolific builder of worlds in his sketchbook, on canvas, and in writing, Zeb's work at VCS reveals a vibrant, contemplative creativity. Still water runs deep, as do the layers of Zeb's creations. As the first of our graduating seniors to have his post-VCS plans firmly set, Zeb moves on from VCS for the University of Maine, where as an astronomy major, he will learn how to discover new worlds in addition to creating them. Alexander Dukoch. Having arrived 6 years ago from Charlotte, Alex Dukoch has been making his presence felt in our halls since day one. Never shy to share an opinion, Alex's passion for the vigorous exchange of ideas led to the steadfast and successful pursuit of academic excellence over his long VCS career, including recognition as a commended scholar in the National Merit Scholarship Competition. But far from being all work and no play, Alex was also a member of the VCS cross-country and ultimate teams, not to mention a key contributor to many Model UN conferences and organizer of successful Model UN events hosted at VCS. From debating current events with faculty to joining recess games, the passion Alex brings to everything he does has earned him respect and love from all corners of the VCS community. Vassar College will be the beneficiary of Alex's high standards this fall as he arrives to apply his tireless energy towards a degree in international relations. Camley Faur. Camley's compassion, desire to do good in the world, and deep drive to make a difference have benefited this community greatly. From designing an RNS class to highlight refugees in our area, to student leading the 6th grade Encounter Week, to modeling illness to train medical students, to passionately sharing her perspective. Camley worked hard and shares her talents widely. The hours that she has put in at the calculus table, reworking physics problems, studying Middle Eastern history, writing and rewriting memoirs, and strengthening friendships will pay dividends in her next endeavors. In addition to the hard work and spirit we have seen day in and day out here at school, Camley has also been an avid ski racer throughout her time at VCS, often attending practices for hours after school and races every weekend. This grit, perseverance, and dedication will give her the tools needed to make a difference at Middlebury College and beyond. Zelda Ferris. Zelda arrived at VCS in the 9th grade, a North Carolina transplant whose first encounter week would be a bike trip around Lake Champlain. Though initially daunted by the steep foothills of the Adirondacks, Zelda returned home triumphant as she had both conquered the hills and created lasting friendships with her fellow students. After introducing her yellow Crocs, great sense of humor, and love of macaroni and cheese to the class of 2017, Zelda proceeded to take VCS by storm. She composed thoughtful memoirs and poems throughout the years, many of which were inspired by her days as a camper and counselor at her beloved Camp Juliet Lau, and frequently published her writing in Uncommon. A member of the National Honor Society, Zelda excelled in all areas, but discovered her particular passions in Spanish, math, and science. She was a member of the cross-country team, serving as captain and earning the Leadership Award last year, and she has been a student leader on Encounter Weeks. Amidst her academic, athletic, and outdoor pursuits, Zelda has found time to act in productions of Much Ado About Nothing, Our Town, The Crucible, and this year's Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, winning the Actors Craft Award for her masterful line learning and performance. Zelda capped off her career with an exploration of study abroad programs focusing specifically on Peru. Her work on this senior project will help school trips run future trips there. Throughout her years, she has been a mentor to younger students, helping them navigate the challenges of middle and high school with her trademark blend of kindness and wit. Zelda will begin taking courses in the honors program at Northeastern University in the fall, and we cannot wait to see where her yellow Crocs take her next. Henry Harder. Science is a philosophy that allows us to search for answers about the world around us. Engineering is the application of science to a human need. We have graduated a lot of scientists and engineers from VCS, and there's no question that Henry was an engineer from the moment he arrived 6 years ago. Early on, his constant need to help those around him solve problems was frequently problematic, as his peers weren't necessarily interested in his help or even perceived a problem. One of the most important lessons a VCS student can learn is how to seek and respond to criticism. Learning and growth happen best in an environment that involves feedback. Henry took the feedback from his peers and faculty and grew from it. He matured into the epitome of the young engineer we see before us. A member of the National Honor Society, Henry excelled in 5 science and math honors classes and earned the school's Science Award as a junior. Henry applied for and earned a place on a multinational, multi-year, multi-million-dollar National Science Foundation research grant into a neglected tropical disease. Watching Henry extract parasite DNA and explain his team's system dynamic model of Chagas disease to attendees at the American Geophysical Union meeting last year was to see the emergence of a science engineer who will make the world a better place. Henry will take his drive to solve problems and his already missed camera to Columbia University. Anna Hulse. Anna is truly a Renaissance woman, an explorer, writer, musician, athlete, and scientist. As one of the 2 inaugural members of the Encounter Week committee, Anna leaves behind a legacy of outdoor education which will enrich VCS for generations to come. The fact that she earned the Encounter Week Award twice is an indication of the respect she has earned from any and all faculty who are lucky enough to have co-led trips with her. Anna has taken every honors class in both English and science and has been an academic leader since the day she walked in our doors. A measure of the academic respect her peers hold her in is that her fellow National Honor Society members selected her as our chapter's president. Anna played soccer and ultimate, but her largest impact has come on our volleyball team as a 3-year varsity player and senior co-captain. While mastering the English language, she simultaneously spent countless hours mastering the languages of music and computers. Her ability to understand deep patterns with her cello or at UVM computer programming classes has paid dividends in the sciences as well. Anna won the National Center for Women in Information Technology Computing Award from Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. Anna also won a place on our National Science Foundation research team examining Chagas disease. Watching Anna describe the system dynamics underlying the deadly disease to attendees at the American Geophysical Union meeting last year was to see the emergence of a Renaissance woman who will change the world. Either at Bard College or wherever her trails lead her, Anna capped her VCS career by earning honors for her outstanding work on her outdoor education-centered senior project. Sean Kerr. Originally from sunny California, Sean has been at VCS right from the beginning. A golden turtle, Sean came to us from the islands in the 7th grade, and with his enthusiasm and curiosity became one of us immediately. Sean has been a member of the volleyball team during his middle school years, being part of one of the first boys' volleyball teams. His love for discussing ideas, let it be in science, philosophy, or art, is well known at VCS. He participated in Model UN, and he is a regular in the art studio. His artistic vein is not only evidenced there, but also in his creative writing pieces. Sean loves discovering new places and being ready for the unexpected. He has explored a variety of cities, such as New York, Boston, and Salt Lake City. It is probably in this last one, during the Sundance Encounter Week, that Sean cemented his love for filmmaking. This passion has led him to do an internship at RETN during his senior year, culminating in a senior project filming and editing VCS Thinking Out Loud segments. Lucky for us, Sean will remain local, attending St. Michael's College this fall, where he will concentrate on psychology research. Kaylee Kronick. Kaylee is a scholar, a strong community member, and a sought-after musician. His contributions to our sound system and audio-visual setup will leave a legacy long beyond his tenure here at VCS. During his senior project, Kaylee found ways to dig even deeper into music recording and explore that interest with the same verve he brings to each pursuit he approaches. He has attended 9 Model UN conferences in his 4 years with us, often telling tales of crazy propositions he has passed. In his classes at UVM on economics and calculus, Kaylee has impressed professors with his curiosity, drive, and desire to know as much as he can about the world. In addition to passionately argued debates, beautifully articulated math proofs, and impeccable sound production, Kaylee practices the violin upward of 3 hours daily. In our advisory today, I found out that he's taking a gap year this year, so I'm adding that in, that he'll be doing some music recording and production this summer, or in the next year. And after that, Carleton College in Minnesota is in for a treat, where Kaylee will start the following fall. Jill Lamberson. This golden turtle is known for wearing her heart on her sleeve and for caring deeply about the world and its suffering. She has a passion for equal human rights for all that is rivaled only by her love of music production. Whether it's supporting efforts to combat Ebola in Liberia or educating us on the experiences of incarcerated transgender people, Jill dives in without hesitation where she sees a need. She has excelled at finding challenges and overcoming them, whether it was the 9th grade bike trip or her 12th grade Belize trip, or finally summoning up the courage to join the volleyball team this last fall. Along the way, she has worked every winter as a ski instructor and has spent summers learning the trades. She could give you some tips on mudding sheetrock if you're interested. Willamette University will be lucky to have her, but first, a year of exploration. Perhaps some time in her old stomping grounds in the Yucatan, perhaps sampling some music production in LA. Wherever she goes, she'll be missed here for her perseverance, her tenacity, and her empathy. Nemaya Lamal. Nemaya joined us in the 10th grade and has been involved in nearly every extracurricular activity since. Nemaya is a member of the NHS, participated in 5 Model UN conferences, played volleyball for 2 years on the varsity team, and stole the show in Our Town, The Crucible, and Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. Despite the thousands of hours committed to these programs and projects, Nemaya's academics never took a back seat. A few examples of her academic prowess. She obtained the English Department Award last year and the Art Award the year before, and also received honors designation on her senior project. In addition, she can boast being on honor roll for the duration of her time at Vermont Common School. Her assignments always go above and beyond what was expected, resulting in a fireworks display of understanding and a clear love of learning. Nemaya has a zest for curiosity about the world around her. In the past year, she has traveled to London and the south of India. While we are sad to see her go, we know that she will continue to do great things at Middlebury College next year. Katya Marsh. Katya is humble, kind, and inquisitive. A diligent, hard-working student, Katya seeks challenge in all of her classes and demonstrates a strong desire to dig deeply and understand fully, a true lover of knowledge. Katya came to us in 10th grade and since then has made our community a better place through mentoring younger students and always acting as a steady friend to those around her. She is an accomplished ballet dancer, her grace inherent both on and off stage. Most recently, Katya danced in 10 numbers at Elan Academy of Classical Ballet's La Boutique Fantastique, Fortitude, and Rêve de Lune. Her dedication to this art form is nothing short of impressive. She spends numerous hours a week honing her skill. Katya is an avid traveler and has jetted to both India and Belize in the past year. This previous summer, she continued to make us proud in a highly selective program, MedQuest. We will thoroughly miss Katya next year, and Mount Holyoke College is lucky to have her. Ryan Sr. When Ryan walked into VCS 6 years ago, the energy level spiked. Luckily for us, he has found his role in our community and has been our renewable energy generator ever since. Listening to Ryan in a debate about the socioeconomic effects of market forces gives you a glimpse into his future, and our loss will be DePaul University's gain. VCS prides itself on its multi-age student community, and very few embody it the way that Ryan has. Any snapshot of Ryan's tenure at VCS would include boys and girls of all ages in a moving vortex being carried along in Ryan's wake. Listening to Ryan play the piano, either playing a piece by ear or simply improvising, underscores his amazing creativity and quick wit. Any reflection of Ryan's impact on this school, and honestly this state, has to include his commitment to our fledgling volleyball program. Ryan has been our starting setter for 5 years, ever since the confident middle schooler bounded onto the floor. He has earned the team's commitment award twice and wrapped up his senior year as a co-captain and member of the Vermont All-Star team. On Wednesday night, Ryan joined only 2 other athletes in the VCS Volleyball Hall of Fame. Amira Silverman. Amira will leave a legacy of leadership at VCS in more ways than we can count. A recipient of the Starbuck Award, she has served as school president, a member of the National Honor Society, as well as a student leader on Encounter Weeks. She played varsity volleyball for 5 years and was the captain for 2. She holds 4 school records, received the Commitment and Leadership Awards, and is currently the captain of the all-state volleyball team. Remarkably, she has also found time to devote to painting and photography and has earned both the first ever artist certificate and an honors designation on her senior project. Beyond all of these awards, honors, and leadership roles, however, Amira will be remembered for her consummate compassion and generosity. On a typical morning, you would find her sitting in her office, the floor outside the copy room. Though busy color-coding her note cards, Amira would always have time to talk to you, whether you were a 6th grader, 9th grader, or faculty member. She would ask how you were doing, remember what was going on in your life, and make your day better with a hug or just a few words. Thanks to Mark Keegan, this spot outside the copy room will now have a permanent sign designating it as Amira's office. While we do not know what we will do without her, Amira herself has remarked that she is at peace with graduating, as she knows that there are underclassmen who will take up her love of our little school and will steward it in the ways that she has. Skidmore College is the lucky institution that now gets to count Amira as one of their students, and we wish her all the best as she begins her career there. Amira, please remain standing. On very rare occasions, some of our most dedicated students dig deeply into their passions and explore an area of interest with faculty membership and independent work at a high level of scholarship over a multi-year period. Successful completion of a series of requirements and defense of a culminating project may result in a diploma certificate of concentration. For the first time in the 20-year history of Vermont Common School, a student has successfully completed such a certificate in the fine arts. Ben Patrick, please come forward to present her certificate.
All right. Amira Silverman Arts Diploma Certificate. Amira Silverman has told me that a field trip to the slaughterhouse was the most memorable experience she has had in my studio arts class. This trip was in connection to a conceptual art lesson in which we were dissecting beanie babies. Peanut, the royal blue elephant, and Patty, the magenta platypus, were both under the knife in science bins normally used for frogs and cats in Peter Goff's biology class. Instead of removing layers of skin and cartilage, my class was removing polyurethane pellets from China and pinning polyester fabric. Afterwards, it seemed appropriate to visit the slaughterhouse. This is how things are in the art world. And Amira understands this. She understands the importance of collectively appreciating the analytical and synthetic components and the perspectives of visual imagery. This is obvious in the hundreds of portraits that she has taken of our community, and most notably in an exhibition titled Face to Face, Point to Point. This exhibition being the final project for Amira to meet their criteria for the art certificate. It was an installation of over 80 portraits, respectively juxtaposed with connected line drawings that the model drew. In this exhibition, Amira balanced the physical and psychological parallax of the space between her and the camera and the model to capture us as we truly are. She is aware of this displacement of space in all the photographs that she takes. It is not just her technical knowledge of the equipment and the artistic process that makes this possible. It is also her understanding of the individual and the poetic relationship in the rendered image. This is evident in every aspect of the conditions that Amira works on to achieve this certificate, from the conceptual portrait video installations to the discussions on photography that she led at the Modern Museum of Art in New York City. This is the first art certificate earned by a student at Vermont Common School. It is a culmination of years of independent work, a tireless appreciation for the creative process, and an inspiring art exhibition. As an artist, Amira now inherits a better understanding of who she is and who we are, thus possessing the ability to more effectively navigate and illustrate our existence. She knows that we do not have plastic inside of us. She knows what is real, how to defend what is real, and how to weave tableaus, royal, magenta, blue, and frames all around us. It is with great honor that Amira Silverman is awarded the first Vermont Common School Diploma Certificate of Concentration in the Fine Arts.
Danny Watson. If the universe had any sense of timing, Danny's arrival at VCS from the Rocky Mountains 4 years ago would have been heralded by a thunderclap. Danny joined our legion of high-energy boys and quickly established himself as the epicenter of good-natured fun. As Danny has matured, his energy levels have actually increased, but in lockstep with his growing maturity as a student athlete. As an honor student in evolutionary biology, Danny became inspired by the life around him and will be heading to Miami of Ohio University to begin his formal training as a biologist. Danny's life outside of the class and lab have been dominated by his commitment to the VCS sports community. Danny has been part of our soccer, basketball, and ultimate teams. However, he has made his most significant impact on the volleyball team. Danny is a 3-year varsity athlete who earned the team's leadership award for his role as this year's co-captain. Danny holds 5 all-time team records and has been selected to the Vermont All-Star team twice. Most impressively, he was selected by the Vermont coaching community as the All-Star team's captain, based solely on his demonstrated sportsmanship. Danny's respect for his teammates and opponents will be missed more than his thunderous spike. Jake Wisegold. Jake arrived at Vermont Commons for 10th grade, a quiet kid just starting to find his academic and social footing. Over the 3 years, he met his challenges and grew into an intellectual powerhouse and a formidable leader with maturity beyond his years. He poured his heart and guts into Encounter Week. You've heard us sing his praises earlier. He also played on the varsity volleyball squad 3 years running. In his advisory group, his voice of reason added seriousness and gratitude to gatherings. Also added to his legend was a 90-minute discussion with students a year younger about his personal journey to recognizing the validity of feminist theory. Jake was always thoughtful, he was always aware of others, and he always took care. He knew how he could help teachers and other students, and he would do it without being asked. He met everyone where they were and was a role model for us all. Jake will bring his deep understanding of human nature to his studies at the University of Colorado Boulder and beyond. But first, a gap year. He will learn to sail the big rigs and then work on ships. We will miss his laugh, his words, the sheer amount of time and effort that he has put into the school.
In our tradition at Vermont Common School, we confer upon each graduate a walking stick, symbolic of the journey each member of the class has taken through their time here and of the trail before them. We wish our graduates a safe yet challenging, healthy and productive, joyous and giving road ahead. Graduates, please stand while your advisors present you with your walking stick. Graduates, please remain standing. All others may be seated. Seniors, thank you for all you have brought us. We say goodbye knowing that you take with you the very essence of our school, our values, our spirit, and everything for which we stand. Acting on the recommendation of the faculty and with the consent of the Board of Trustees, and each of you having satisfied all graduation requirements, I now declare you graduates of Vermont Common School. Please move your tassels. After the benediction and recessional, please join us for a reception and 20th commencement celebration. Graduates, please place your diplomas aside for a moment and recess only with your walking sticks. Afterwards, please gather your parents and diplomas for a picture up here in front of the stage before joining the reception. And now for the benediction. May you always have enough light to bring you joy, enough trial to keep you strong, enough success to keep you eager, enough faith to give you peace, enough compassion to care for the needy, and enough courage to change the world.